Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the JLML podcast. I'm here with Paul and Smell. Paul, how you doing after your big win this week?
Yeah, good. Good to be back. Was off last week. Listened to the pod. You guys did pretty good, I thought. You, Emmerich, and Smell obviously held it down, but yeah, good. It was a good week. Crazy week for me in this league in this matchup with Emmerich. Came out on top in the end, but yeah, it was good. Good week across the league. So yeah, just ready to discuss it and get to it.
Smell, how you doing? It's good to have you back on another. I think this is your third straight week here, so happy to have you. How you doing?
I appreciate it. Personally, I'm doing better today than I was doing Monday and Tuesday. I'm still a little tired, still getting over a lot of emotional stuff. Fantasy wise, man, you look at my result. It's not the week that I thought I was going to have, but this isn't necessarily a condolence cigar or a regret cigar. I'm pretty happy with some of the things that happened. We'll get into that, but yeah, it was a tough week. I certainly am the lesser dog of the Good Boy Bowl Part One this year.
Well, you got another chance, I believe, right? You'll have another.
Yeah.
I don't know when the next week is, but I think there's another chance. But we'll get it started. Get talking about this week's matchups. Like we'll start with Paul in a battle against Emmerich here, 719 to 694. Paul with the win. Go ahead, Paul, and start us off. Talk about your week.
Yeah, Emmerich's a great team. He's got a great team. Um, for me, I just the whole week I was like, I don't think I'm gonna pull it off. He's his arms are going crazy. And fortunately today, I only had 9 starts up until this morning. I was able to get 3 on him while he had none left. Obviously made a big difference because I was down, I think 20, like 5 or 6, at the start of the day. But for me, it starts with the bats, 475 bat points this week. Just kind of insane. But even Emmerich had 400. So like both of our bats really cleared this week. The one thing I did want to touch on quick though is Paul Skeens. His start this week was 11. I've heard it all off season and really kind of up till this week that as Paul Skeens go, I go. And he didn't really have that great of a start this week. Only 11 points, and I still got the win, and I still scored well over 700 points. So, like, I'm kind of trying to kill that narrative, trying to build my team up besides Bobby Witt and Paul Skeens. I think I've done that. I think I've proven that, being the second highest scoring team in the league through 5 weeks, through a quarter of the season. Um, I'm not sure that even I would have thought that that would be the case, and I'm certainly sure that most people in this league didn't think that that would be the case. So I'm pretty proud of where I'm at, proud of my team. Um, as for the bats, I wanted to highlight two. Obviously, the first being Okamoto. As Okamoto traded for him from Smell here. 71 points this week. I think he had a home run like 4 straight days or something like that. Um, you know,
Some
4 home runs on the
Murakami
week for
stuff right there.
well, we'll get to that, Braxton. But
Sorry, I just want to
yeah,
make a joke with Smell.
Rage bait.
no, I said it on Maine. I was thinking about making a side bet with you who'd have more home runs this season between Okamoto and Murakami.
Yeah, it's fun.
I still don't think I'm gonna make that bet because I like Murakami, but yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, the other bet I wanted to highlight was Jordan Walker. And make it even here, not just go after Smell, go after Braxton too a little bit.
Yeah.
46 points. He only had 1 home run this week, but still had 46 points. Yeah, I like that guy so much, and he actually had more points on the bench that I left on the bench, like I think 20 something on the bench. So he could have had an even better week if I had managed it better. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped with where I'm at because it's one thing to perform well one week, but then 2 straight weeks of this, it wasn't as good as the previous week when I beat Cody. But I mean, 719 points, that's a lot of points. And to clear 700 2 straight weeks, I like where I'm at. And I mean, there's still a long season, only a quarter of the way through regular season. But yeah, I think the Tides are kind of heading the right direction.
Yeah, Smell, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, Paul obviously captures his team pretty well, although I will say, saying that you're going to back off of Smell and go after Bragton and talking about Jordan Howard is forgetting about the fact that I owned Jordan Howard for 2 years, gave Bragton, Jackson
Walker.
Merrill, and like 7 other pieces, to get, or Jordan Walker, to get it. I'm like, so yeah, that one still stings, but I'm not bitter. But yeah, this is it was a great matchup. It was fun watching. Like Paul said, he left a lot of points on the bench, not just with Walker, but he left just a lot of points overall. Emmerich really didn't. Um, something that was said in Maine by Emmerich was that he was going to ping me about Schultz, and Paul already had, and that was really kind of the difference of this whole matchup. Going back to get to the Smell Sunday night skipper, that's the decision maker. Who Jesse Schultz literally changing the game. Now I'm happy, and we might get to that because I know Paul caught some slack about that trade. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later in the trade area, but yeah, I mean it was a great week. It was great to see the world beater Ildarmo Vargas come down to only 35 points for the week instead of his 75 to 80 points he's been getting. So the hit streak is over. I think I think he might be the clock struck midnight probably for Vargas. It might be too early to say that, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it right now. Acuna getting hurt is probably going to hurt Emmerich moving forward for a little bit. Acuna is going to be out. J Rod is coming back. He had a good week for him. But what Paul said about his pitching is something I wanted to touch on. He's saying Skeens and Witt are kind of like what the rest of us are pointing to his team being as they go, he goes. I'm going to say as his bats go, he goes. Because again, like last week, I was talking about the trend. How every team did the past couple weeks. Paul's bats have been 322, 444, and 475 the past 3 weeks, so they're on an upswing. But his arms are all over the place. 324, 451 last week, and then 244 this week. So it seems like the arms just kind of fluctuate like that. It's but it's happening to all of us. So it's not unique to Paul. All of us are having these pitching woes. Ryan Walker, my boy, I think I broke him when I played poker with him. I know Paul's shopping him for a worse now. I might drop in on that, even though I don't need a relief pitcher. But it was a fun matchup. It was good to watch. It was exciting up until the end. And it's crazy that Jesse Schultz was the difference maker of this whole matchup.
Yeah, well, there's another difference that was made in this matchup and a move that didn't happen that could have. Paul sent me a trade at 2 in the morning when I was asleep last night. Kyle Leahy for Chris Paddock, straight up. And if I had done that, then you probably wouldn't have traded for Griffin Canning, and then
100%.
And then Paddock would have gone negative 19, and then you missed the 21-point Canning start and you lose. So that's. I actually had the chance to accept it this morning when I woke up, and I didn't, and because I wanted a worst or a pick or whatever, and I was just like, Kyle Lee, that's not going to do anything for me, and so I declined it. But it's an interesting thought that if I pressed accept there, then this matchup goes a different way, and that's pretty wild to think. So there's that, and then looking at you guys pretty much hit on the individual performances, but I wanted to mention, we've been talking a lot about positional advantages, um, and teams having good bullpens or catching groups. Paul got 63 points from William Contreras and 26 points from Adley Rutschman, almost 100 points out of catchers alone, which is kind of wild to me. And then what do you call it? Emmerich only got 12 points from Zach Neto, which is disappointing, and usually he's good for much more than that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Emmerich should be freaking out about this loss. 694 is a good number, and I think that was in the top half of scoring this week, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Fourth in scoring, which is ridiculous. I mean, he's put up the fourth most points and lose. He would have beat John Haidt, would have beat Connor, would have beat Jab, would have beat Cody. Like, Emmerich had a good week and unfortunately couldn't get the win there. But what do you call it? I wouldn't be discouraged if I were him. And then Paul picks up the win to keep pace with me in our record bet. So we're good there. So all right, we're gonna move on to our next.
Quick,
yeah.
Braxton, real quick, because you touched on the Paddock deal. So and there's I think 5 or 6 owners that can attest to this. I last night, 11 o'clock at night, found out that Randy Vasquez wasn't going to start today, and that was going to be Griffin Canning. And so I panicked because I knew that I needed 3 starts to have a chance to beat Emmerich today. And so I sent 5 or 6 different owners an offer. All of them included Kyle Leahy. The only one that didn't have a prospect attached to it was yours, Braxton, because Paddock was the one I wanted the least.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you turned it down, and I'm also glad that Tita got on early this morning and accepted it, because I got a PM from Nick about 10-15 minutes later saying, "Oh, I would have accepted it," and it was for Jack Pachanowicz, and he did not get the 21 points that Griffin Canning did. I don't know what he did end up getting today. I'll look at it and update when we talk about his matchup. But
he got 19
for sure.
It wasn't that big of a difference.
Okay,
So, yeah,
all right.
It was.
So I still would have
been all right.
Okay,
yeah, would have been all right.
But yeah, the landmine was definitely Paddock, and I'm very glad to have avoided it, because
he might just get yeeted to the waiver wire here pretty soon. I don't.
I'm hoping he gets yeeted for Robbie Snelling, but we'll see.
Could happen. Well,
which I know we did like 19 today.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, next matchup we'll talk about. We'll rip the Band-Aid off early for Tita. 857 to 570 loss against Hen and the Clearwater Beach Dogs. 857 is a ridiculous number. We'll start with Smell on this one. What did you see here?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, it was what we thought it was going to be. I mean, I don't think we thought it was going to be almost a 300-point victory for Hen, but we knew Hen was scoring 750 to 800. 850 is, I think if any of us ever come out here and predict a team is going to score 850 plus points in a week, especially in not an extended week, I'll call cap on any one of us, if we want to say that. But, Tita's putting up really consistent numbers. I mean, it's funny, for as much as he turns over his squad, he hasn't turned over a few of the guys. It's not from a lack of trying. He's trying to, I can't remember what he's calling Hera, the Hera, the god or something right now. But, he had 50 points Hera did for him, and he got another 14 out of Yanier Diaz. So, talking about the catcher spot like he did Braxton in the last matchup, he got 64 out of his catcher spot, which is huge. Mickey Moniak's been kind of come around and done really well this season as well. He had another 54 points for Tita this week. So, his bats were right under 300. He did 298 for bats this week. It's his lowest output for bats in a while. His arms have been incredibly consistent in the the mid 200 range, like 250, 270 range the past several weeks. And he's, again, Severino's getting 41 points for him, along with Sean Burke getting 41 points. Kyle Bradish, Braxton's favorite pitcher in baseball, went -6 after I traded him to Tita, which, I know I can feel the pat on the back from Braxton as I hit accept on that deal. I knew that one was coming from him.
I was the first person to reach out to you, say that's an absolute win because you got rid of Kyle Bradish.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But, and we could go on and on for days about Hen. I really vastly underestimated Hen's team preseason. And I think it was mostly because I was looking at our division and I wasn't going to count myself out of the playoffs. So I had to pick somebody. We couldn't be all of us except for Nick making the playoffs. And I think Hen was the one I put out of the playoffs. But his bats have been ridiculous. His arms have been as advertised. There's nothing that Tita could have done here. There's no moves Tita could have made. There's no managing this differently to get there. Hen's the class of the league, and until somebody beats him, I don't know who's going to beat him. Jesus Luzardo put up 86 points in a 2-start week. I mean, that's insanity. I mean, last week, I mean, for perspective, Height had 75 pitching points for his team for the week, and Jesus Luzardo had 86 this week, in a 2-start week alone. And the other thing is that Hen really has limited the amount of negative pitchers. Like, he doesn't have a lot of pitchers getting negative points for him. He only had one this week. And it's a guy who he could easily drop. And not even think twice about it. So, Hen's got the team. He is the class of the league, not just the division. And I mean, I don't want to anoint him the champion of the league because we had Jab and Cody as the top 2 teams of the league preseason. Most of us or all of us, and we know where they're at. So just Hen just being as dominant as ever. Not much more you can say.
Yeah, Paul, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Smell, and everyone knows where I put Hen preseason. Very clearly, not a correct prediction there. Yeah, I mean, here's kind of what I was looking through and wanted to draw some attention to. He had all these points, all these bat points, all these pitching points, this and that, and he only had 28 points from Jose Ramirez, and he only had 26 points from Jordan Alvarez. Like, 2 probably of his best bats, if not his 2 best bats, underperformed this week by their standard. So he's scoring 857 points with some underperforming bats. That's kind of scary if we're thinking about it, but I also want to draw obviously attention to the other side of this, which is Joe Ryan and Ranger Suarez today. We obviously don't know the extent of those injuries right now, but we're heading to lose those 2 guys for any kind of time, like more than just the 10 to 15 day IL type thing. That's going to be significant because then basically his pitching is the Phillies rotation. And Phillies have not been the best baseball team this year so far. So again, I'm very much finished with trying to predict Hen's downfall because I'm just not right about it. So obviously he's got a great team. He knows he's got a great team. I'm not going to be able to say otherwise. And then for Tita, yeah, I think it was, a down week, but at the same time, 570 points isn't a bad score by any means. But we've talked about this before, like, pitching wise, 272, that's probably the ceiling with what he's dealing with. Now, I know that he got Logan Henderson today for me, or it was yesterday, but started today. Yeah, I mean, Sean Burke went crazy this week. I've always been a Sean Burke fan. It seems like this is kind of breaking out year for him. So yeah, I mean, sorry, not Braxton, Tita. His team's good or not good, but that's a good score, and that's kind of the average Tita score that we're gonna see week in week out, and it's gonna get wins against some teams, and it's not gonna beat teams like Hen. So that's kind of where this was, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said everything I was going to say, except, Hen keeps finding these relievers on the waiver wire that just put up a crap ton of points here. Vesia 13, Varland 14, Keller 19, Baker 33, Adam 12. Like, what? I don't know how he keeps getting all these great streams, but um, like you said, I mean, my big point was going to be about Joe Ryan and Ranger. It'll be interesting to see how he can navigate that. But if he keeps getting those stream starts from those relievers like that, or like those little stream spots, that'll be the difference, and that'll make up for it easily. But like you said, down weeks from a couple of his better bats, that should offset the crazy pitching points too. So it'll all work itself out in the end for him. But I mean, like we said, Tita, there's nothing really he can do. I think he kind of checked out on Wednesday or Thursday because the gap was so big. Checked out meaning just not streamed or did everything that he usually would do. I don't know how many ads he still has, but oh no, he has 0. I was gonna say, but it is
Wasn't
what
it
it
headed like
is.
600 points by Thursday too?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
if Tita didn't use all of his waiver ads this week, I wouldn't have been surprised because what do you call it? It was he conceded on Wednesday night, I think, or something ridiculous. But it is what it is. I don't know who he plays next week. We'll get into that, but probably look to bounce back. So, all right, we're gonna move on to the next game here. We've only done a couple games, so we're gonna move a little quicker here. We're gonna talk about Jack and Scott. Jack's 581 points. Scott's 510. Jack with the win. Paul, kick us off on this one.
Yeah, this was close even through this morning. Like it was like a tie game, I feel like, at some point earlier today. So yeah, this was a very close matchup. But this is less about what's currently being played by Jack and more what's coming. You know, he's got guys that are coming off the IL here in the next week or two. That's really going to help him a lot. His team's going to change very drastically, probably by like week 7 or 8. So there's a lot of obviously good from Jack here. 73 points from Clay Holmes, 2-start week. Jansen Junk just keeps having the season of his life, 34 points this week. Old Pork Roki got 13 against the Cardinals, didn't get the win, got the loss. But yeah, I mean, 250 from the arms, 330 from the bats, like pretty typical week. Nothing great, nothing too bad. As for Scott, he had some good bat performances. I continue to like McGonigal a lot. Rosa is having a good year so far. Bo Bichette finally kind of getting it going for the Mets. I mean, his arms really let him down. Only 183 points, but he only had 10 starts as well. So 2 more starts. I don't know if that makes up 71 points, but getting to 12 starts is a big deal. And you know, Scott's very much in this. I think he's still. What's his record now?
2-3, I think.
Not in front of me.
2-3.
Is it 1-4 or 2-3?
2-3.
2-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's very much in this. Like, there's even maybe the only team I would say that's out of it at this point is Nick. But yeah, that's 13 teams for 6 spots in the playoffs. So it's certainly attainable, and it's kind of disappointing when you see a team that only gets 10 starts when starts were being shopped left and right this week. So yeah, we'll see kind of what happens there, but if you want to win, 12 starts is a great place to start.
Well, he avoided the landmine as known as Paddock too. I was on him for multiple days this week, to being like, "Hey, you
I
need
get
an
it.
extra start. Here comes Paddock." Like he's got a couple 2029 fourth round picks that I was looking at, and he was just like, "I'm not even going to give you a third round pick or a fourth round pick 3 years from now for this guy," and he made the right call there. But I'm just going to add quickly that the bats for Scott and Jack. Scott had 327 hitting points and Jack had 331. 4 point difference, which is insane. I always love seeing it that close. But like you said, Paul, the pitching obviously was the major difference there. Um, you mentioned the key people, but Luis Castillo had -2 points in a 2-start week for Jack, and he still found a way to win. Like that's it's pretty impressive. And I think that if you were to tell Jack with all of his injuries and people just getting hurt left and right, that he'd be 3-2, tied for first place in his division, with everybody that's out and people coming back soon, and rookies making an immediate impact like Sal Stewart and Carter Jensen, that he would sign up for this any day of the week. So we were talking about it in our chat today earlier that Jack's probably my front runner for GM of the year right now, with a 3-2 record in this position. So keep it up, man. I mean, he's going to get a lot of people back when he plays me in a couple weeks. So that'll be unfortunate, but we'll see what he can do. Scott, like you said, has a couple nice bats. Just needs to go out and shark a couple people for those Griffin Canning starts, and that could be the difference. So we'll see. But Smell, what do you have to add to that?
So talking about Jack's team, I mean we're talking about a lot about the bats, and we're leaving out the fact that Byron Buxton had almost 100 points himself this week. He had like 95 points. That's I mean, come on. I mean, it's short of J-Ram having the 100+ point week. I mean that these are like Otani numbers, and that's something he's not going to see very often. 5 home runs. Um, it's just insane. So that obviously played a big role in Jack winning this, because when you look at the rest of his bats, I mean, we talked about Sale Stewart. I mean, I think any one of us would barn him for Sale Stewart, and I've got a bunch of first basemen, but Sale Stewart had 6 points this week. He's a rookie, and he did rookie things this week and had a rookie week. When you look at the rest of his bats this week, I mean, he only had one other guy over 30 points on the week. So I mean, it was really Buxton was almost a third of his bats. His pitching, it's going to be interesting to see how his pitching does before. I mean, I know he's got these guys coming back, but 250 is a decent week. It's not a great week. I know we always have that 300 point as the benchmark, but a lot of teams are having a hard time getting the 300 pitching points. Jack had 341 last week, 250 this week. So I mean, it's kind of up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster. Um, for Scott, he's just got a lot of guys getting 20, 25, 30 points. Just a lot, no, superstar names, but I'm putting out superstar numbers, but putting out solid numbers. Talking about his bats specifically. Moving over to his arms, though, that 183 number, that was disappointing, I'm sure, for him. But it's on par with, he was 218 last week, but a couple weeks ago he was over 300 points. So right now, I think Sir Anthony Dominguez is still one of his top arms. I think it's third best arm, which is a tough thing to swallow, I think, if you're Scott. Um, Andrew Painter hasn't gotten it going. Every week I'm on here, I'm talking about Andrew Painter, single points, single digit points for the week. He's at 7 points this week. Brandon Fad had only 2 points. Landon Roop, he was a hero from last week, 1 point this week. So Scott had a tough time with his pitching. He also left a fair amount of bench points on his bats. It could have made a difference. I didn't get a chance to go through and really kind of break it all down. But yeah, Jack is going to be a scary team. Braxton was talking about the chat, the group chat. He's kind of saying that he thinks a couple other people might be the front runners. I'm like, no, dude, it's you. You're the front runner for manager of the year, especially with what he's built up and what's yet to come. So I'm looking forward to seeing how his team finishes out the year with these pitchers coming back.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we're going to move on to we'll talk about this briefly. The John Haidt versus Nick battle here, 687 for John Haidt to 468 for Nick. I'll start us off here briefly. John Haidt's bats did what he wanted them to do. 397 bat points is enough to hang in there with anybody. Didn't necessarily need it this week because Nick put up 468 on his own minus the 396 bat points. So still, John Haidt, he got a rebound week this week. This is the kind of week he wanted, even if he wasn't going up against the Jabs or the Hens of the world. 687 is a good number. This is exactly, I play Nick next week. This is exactly what I want to do. Just put up a solid number. I think he finished 4th or 5th in league scoring this week. John Haidt did. That's exactly how you want to do it. Just don't miss a step. Win in convincing fashion like that, and that's what he needed. I think, did we say he had 75 pitching points last week? Was it that? I think it was. Yeah, 290 this week. Much better. Probably more around where it's going to be anyway. So good for him there. Nick made a couple really big trades this week and capitalized on some people's values, I think, which we'll get into. But yeah, just I think that we talk about it for what he wants to do. This is a good week for Nick as far as getting some deals for people and guys that he's planning on keeping having good weeks. So Yeah, this is exactly what both people probably wanted to see this week. So, Smell, we'll start with you here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, you're spot on with your analysis there. I mean, what's interesting about Nick, even with the moves that he's made, his bats have been super consistent, like just below that 300-point threshold every single week, like 285, 290 every single week. And it's his pitching though that's been failing him. You know, he had 300 points a couple weeks ago. Now he's back in the mid 100s the past couple weeks. So but again, we all picked him to finish 14th, right? 13th or 14th. I don't know if anybody picked him to finish 13th even. And again, I'm not bagging on Nick. Nick's doing what he wants to do. His farm system is great. He's got some good players. You know, Ryan Jeffers. You know, I streamed him for one day, but he's getting him 39 points, and it's a waiver wire catcher, which is great for a
And he
team like
got an
Nick right now.
asset for him from me. So, what do you call it?
Yeah,
That's smart management right there. Pick him up, trade him for
right.
worse. Boom. Like,
You know, and last week Emmerich was talking about how it's tough to move catchers. Well, I mean, Height's going to be in the market for a catcher this week. He'll probably just pick up somebody off waivers, but you know, he lost Augustin Ramirez now to AAA with my boy Joe Mack coming up, and you know, so he's going to need a catcher. He doesn't have I didn't see one on his bench, so I don't think he has somebody he can just plug and play. But CJ Adams came back to life a little bit, 54 points. Juan Soto back to life, 57. Judge did Judge things with 71 points. So his bats are great. Otani only had 48 points, which is the lowest total I think I've seen out of Otani in years, probably. I mean, I don't want to over exaggerate it, but I haven't seen an Otani total under 50 for a while. I mean, Christian Walker had 48 points, so that's kind of interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, and the arms again. A lot of people are having trouble getting hit to that 300-point total on arm with their arms. You know, 290 is a respectable number. I mean, for perspective, there was only two teams I think this week that got over 400, and that was it. Nobody else over even 300 for their arms this week. So for him to get 290, he was like third or fourth highest for his pitching total. So it was a good week. I mean, this was the outcome that we expected. I think we, you know, again said height by 200 or height by 300. He won by 219. So this was not unexpected, but you know, we'll talk about some of the trades, but yeah, Nick is doing a great job of acquiring assets. Height's going to need to probably do some maneuvering around. He and I were talking about a trade earlier this week, which didn't really materialize. I don't know that it's going to at this point. But I mean, it was me going after my Cubs players, so basically, just to throw it out there for everybody. I'm not afraid to say it. It might, you know, we'll see. It's not something he necessarily needs to do. He needs a catcher now. I offered him a catcher in Maine earlier, which is you know, we'll see what happens. But Height's got a great team. It'll keep rolling.
and Paul, what do you have to add to this?
I'll only say two things to keep it quick. John Height, if you need a catcher, hit me up. I got two. And to Nick, I'm not going to trade you Robbie Snelling for Luke Keeschel. So that's just not going to happen.
That's it.
The backstory is that I've been trying to get Keeschel from him since he got him. And he's basically told me the only way that you're getting him is through Snelling. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. So I just publicly wanted to say that.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on.
We'll see if he listens. He'll message me. If he listens to this, he'll message me. So we'll see.
All right. We'll move on to Smell's matchup against Connor. We didn't talk about this one yet, I don't think. So, Smell, it's all you. Kick it off.
There's not a lot to talk about here. I mean, I could sit here and say my personal life stuff that I had going on early in the week is why I wasn't really focused. And there's a lot of truth to that, but at the same time, I was logged on every day, and I just saw how this matchup was going. I just didn't manage the way I've managed the past couple of weeks, like when I played Cody and last week as well. So I wasn't in there as active as I was managing it. I made some huge trades, which again we'll talk about. But those happened, you know, on Friday when I was just like, I'm sunk. Like I'm you know, last week or 2 weeks ago I was down 100. Last week I was down 100 on Sunday. Then I was buying assets Sunday morning trying to make the comeback, right? And this week on Friday I mailed it in. So kudos to Connor again. He's got one of those, just a lot of really good bats. You got Bellinger 65 points, Ian Happ, who gets kind of dogged on a lot. I feel like in our league got 54 points. He had 392 bat points. Even in a down week, I had 313 bat points. So I'll take that. I'm pleased with it. The arms were kind of, I think, disappointing for me especially. I had a Cody week, where like on Thursday or Friday, I was looking at like 65 or 70 points for the week, and I was already through half of my starts. I think Paul was laughing at me in Maine about it. And that's when I really knew I didn't have a chance. Michael Soroka became the terrorist that he's been, minus 21. Dennis Santana, minus 18. Zach Gallen, minus 11. So it's like, cool guys, thanks. I appreciate the hustle. Minus 60 out of 3 guys, or almost 60 is a strong showing. But Connor, his arms, again, he had negative with Merrill Kelly, but Taj Bradley had another good week with 31 points. Sandy had 19, which is okay. It's not fantastic. Jake Latz with 30 points. 2 saves. He did pretty well picking him up. And so, again, Connor's out there. He's got the assets to buy. Connor's going to be a force. He finished under projections. I think he was projected for almost 700 for the week. He hit like 657, so he finished under what Fantrax was projecting, but still had a really good week. And I don't see him slowing down. His arms rebounded. He was in the low 100s the past couple weeks. 265 this week's a good showing. His bats did what his bats have been doing. So I think this is more indicative of the Connor team we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of 650 to 700 point weeks out of Connor. I don't think we're going to see any more 443 points out of the Chihuahuas. If we do, I just, I quit. I'll say that here right now. But a little bit, like I said, was by design. I had 8 starts on the week because I sold off all my Saturday starts on Friday, just trying to acquire other assets. So I decided there wasn't a lot to talk about there. For me, it's all about Connor. He had a great week.
No, I'm glad that we have you on because you're, like you said, you made some really big deals that we're going to talk about, and I think that you're right. I mean, it was interesting to watch kind of different guys kind of pop off for Connor this week. We were talking, about certain players last week, but Cody Bellinger 65 this week. I don't know that that's happened yet this season. Maybe it has. If I'm wrong, Connor, please don't be mad at me. I don't know off the top of my head, but pitching, you know, we've been talking about that magic 300 number, like you said, Smell, but he fell a little bit below that. Maybe we start dropping that down to 250 pitching points this year, given how things are. Maybe 250 is a more reasonable expectation, given how people have been scoring. But I mean, Jose Soriano, maybe he's coming back down to earth a little bit. Only got 6 points this week. Webb had 28 in 1 start. That was really good. But I mean, like you said, it was a good week for Connor. I'm looking forward to playing him here pretty soon because we've been kind of jarring a little bit. Friendly fire, of course, in voice, but I'm interested to break down kind of the new look Chihuahuas here because, like you said, this wasn't a score that's indicative of how you're going to be. But Paul, go ahead and give your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, it's hard. Again, it's no offense to Smell, but it's hardly worth talking about it because not half, but a good amount of the players that we're seeing in this box score for Smell aren't on his team anymore. So, like, I mean, it's hard to break anybody down besides Brandon Lau. Brandon Lau has just been amazing this year. But for Connor, yeah, like he's got, the one thing I noticed with Connor, he really does streaming bats wise at least very well. Leody Taveras, 13 points on 3 at bats. Trent Grisham with 6 and 4 at bats. Brandon Marsh, 14 with 8 at bats. Like he has streaming pretty good, I think, because it's a common theme that he's been doing all year, having a roster spot or two, just dedicated to that. So yeah, I just want to give him kudos to that. And then the other thing I wanted to say real quick, negative 16 points for Merrill Kelly in a 2-star week. Thanks. Obviously didn't impact him, but yeah, it's a tough one there. But yeah, obviously very good week for Connor, and 1-0 Sod Poodles in the Good Boy Bowl.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention that none of us actually touched on. I'm kind of surprised that because I just caught it now as I was going back and looking over Connor's, his score. Corbin Carroll and Jackson Merrill, 2 top 10 dynasty outfielders, no question, right? Combined for 25 points this week, and Connor still had 392 hitting points. So I mean, once those guys are hitting consistently, Connor's team, I mean, like I said, 657 is probably about what we're going to see, 650 to 700, but he's got room to hit 700 pretty, or at least close to it when these guys get right.
Great point.
Yeah. Well, we'll move to the next matchup, second to last one. We're going to talk about my matchup against Chad. I've been looking forward to kind of getting going on this one because I had a really good freaking week, guys. 748 to 506. Yeah. JJ Weatherholt, 52 points. Murakami, 2 home runs. We take those. Otto Lopez, 45. Got 338 hitting points. Outscored by Chad's bats by 30. Or Chad's bats outscored me by 30. But the difference was 410 pitching points to 139. Like, there was a day where he had like 3 negative starts. And I don't know what my voodoo magic is doing with that because it was like, I don't even remember who it was, but he had 3 Louder, Connolly early, and Rocker all went very negative in one day. And I was like, okay, that's probably it for him. But I got some dogs with pitching, man. Like, I'm really, really happy with the way this team is looking right now. I made some trades, which we'll talk about too. But, if I can keep putting up anywhere close to this, man, I mean, I'm rolling. There's nothing really else to say other than that. Chad, there were a couple killers on Chad's team that just annoyed me this week. Like Ozzy Albies at 68, and I was just like, damn, that sucks. But then he traded for Ben Rice, who got 29 points and 5 at bats. And then he says the only way I get him is if I move Nolan McLean plus Murakami. I'm like, thanks, that's great. Never gonna get him now. Appreciate it. But traded Hunter Goodman with 37 points before that, so just didn't even matter. Both of them killed me. But yeah, I think that this is kind of a down week for Chad, even though I've been kind of hard on the Comets. I think he's better than 506, but I'm happy to get the win this week for narrative purposes, and I believe that puts me with the most points scored in my division, too, through 5 weeks, which somebody tell me that week 1, I'll sign up for that any day after the season I had last year that people won't let me forget about. But we'll see, man. I'm playing Nick this week, and no games are ever easy, but if I can do anything similar to this week, be 4-2 through 6 weeks, like maybe there's something going in Bismarck here. So, Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that you have something going. Here's what I'll say. Pretty good with your bats. Very good with your bats. Having JJ Weatherholt really changes your bat outlook, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very, very good player. For your arms, this is also what I'd say. So obviously you have your top, 4 or 5, your golden arms. You can relatively count on those guys for 150. What do you think, Braxton? About 150 points from those guys per week?
Something like
from your
that.
From your top
No, yeah, something
5,
like
we'll
that.
say 5 arms.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
I won't
Key.
pick.
Well, I don't want. I'm not saying a limit. Like I'm roughly average.
No.
Is that?
Yeah.
So, to me, depends on the rest of your guys. How you fill out the next 6, 7 starts, and if you can get, 20 points ish per start from those guys, you're gonna win most weeks. Because that's how your team is built, in my view.
I reshuffled the little arms we're talking about here this week. I got Max Meyer with 45. I got what do you call it? Spencer Arrighetti was 17. It's guys like that. That's what we're talking about. So yeah,
That's where I'm
McGreevy
heading
30.
here is
Like
right. That's where I'm heading here is
yeah,
if you can get that kind of performance from the ancillary, quote unquote ancillary guys, and your team suddenly goes from good to great. And I think that's the key. And I know this because it's kind of how my team's also built. I can generally count on good starts from Skeens, from Strider, now that he's healthy and back, hopefully. Wasn't good today. Braxton Ashcraft. But those type of guys, I can relatively count on being good. It's then what happens with the next 6 starters for that week. If they're good, I'm a tough team to beat.
yeah.
If
You
they're
just
not
gotta
good, I'm
not
extremely
employ
beatable.
terrorists. Like, don't start Chris Paddock or Kyle Freeland or
Bingo.
those guys. Yeah, just somewhat competence. That's all we need. So
Bingo.
yeah. Do you want to add anything else,
Bingo.
Paul, or we go?
Yeah,
Smell?
and then real quick with Chad and his team. I'm obviously still a big supporter for Oklahoma City for Chad. It was a rough week. 367 bad points is good, and he mentioned it actually, and it's actually a good point. That Yamamoto is only getting like 1 start a week. He hasn't had a 2-start week yet, and that's entirely because of how the Dodgers are built right now, with their 6-man rotation. If they only play 6 games a week, they're only getting 1 start per starter. That's a big deal, and that kind of limits the ceiling. And way back in February or March, whenever I made the Skeens trade, it was March sometime. That's kind of what I was foreseeing with myself is, okay, obviously Yamamoto's great. He's a great pitcher. But what happens if he only gets 26 starts this year? 27 starts. Well, his ceiling suddenly drops a lot. And my goal was winning this year. That's kind of what I built my team towards to being. So yeah, again, great pitcher, Yamamoto, no doubt, great pitcher. But his 2-start weeks, at least for the short term, are not really coming, and I think that's going to hurt a lot. Past that, obviously his bullpen's still, in my opinion, the best in the league. Mason Miller, Cam Smith, Ranger Suarez. We'll see what happens with Ranger Suarez, because I believe that Rizal Iglesias is back this week. So we'll see if he goes back to the 8th inning or holds on to the 9th. Personally, I'm hoping for the 8th, because I have Iglesias. But I mean, you're not getting -25 out of Rhett Lauder every week. You're not getting -7 out of Early. So to me, you chalk it up as down week. But his team, I still think, is very good, and I think, especially after the trade with Smell here, we'll see what happens. But I definitely think there's a lot of good here.
Smell. What about you? What do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, for Chad, I mean, talking about projections, I mean, never mind projections. Let's just talk, the first 4 weeks before this, he was the top 4 scoring team on the season. He was, consistently the 4th highest scoring team, the 4th highest scoring team, the 3rd highest scoring team. He had a bad week. Shit happens. I mean, I agree with Paul on Yamamoto to an extent. If you're going to have a 1-start week with Yamamoto and he's going to get 8 points, then yeah, you don't want that on your team. But if you have a normal Yamamoto with 25, 30 points, a little bit more, there's a lot worse you could certainly have. But the story is the projections, really. Chad missed projections. He was projected for 695. He had 506. That's insane. And, on the flip side, Bracton, you were projected for 596. You hit 748. I have a question for you, though, Bracton. We're talking about your bats, and, how good they're doing. Would you be surprised if I said this was like the worst week that your bats have had in the past 3 weeks?
No, I was actually looking at that. I think you're right. I don't know by how much. Might be close, but if it's a staggering number, I would be surprised. What is it? Do you have it?
It's not staggering. Like 3 weeks ago when I was first on the pod, you had 418. Last week you had 369. This week you have 338.
Okay.
So it's steadily declining. Your arms went from 252 and 262 to 410. That's not going to happen every week though either. I think you traded Emerson Hancock, didn't you? If I'm not
Well, I
mistaken,
traded
I
him
don't
for
remember.
Sean Burke, who also got 41 points. So
Yeah.
it was a wash, I guess.
Yeah. So, but even when to that point, though, getting Emerson Hancock, 47 points on a loss, is pretty impressive. And I've had some conversations with people about Hancock. McLean only had 11 points for you, so you had one of your golden arms really not do very well. I don't know who your 5 golden arms are anymore. I mean, because for me, Gavin Williams would be up there. I know Schlittler
No,
is
he
one of
is.
them. I know
I put him in
is one
there.
of
I
McLean.
put him in there.
I
Yeah.
mean, you've got some good arms. Again, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. They're young, and they're going to have the ups and downs. So when you have a week where you get over 400 points from them, like you did this week, man, enjoy that, ride it. Take advantage of it. And you did it against a really good team. This is a really good team that didn't put up a really good number this week. Looking at your team, though, construction wise, like Paul was kind of breaking it down a little bit. I think you would benefit from getting a catcher. I know that's probably why you really wanted Ben Rice. You need to probably upgrade your catcher a little bit, but there's a lot of catchers out there that you can get.
Well, yeah,
And
I
then
got
the
Jeffers,
outfield.
so hopefully he'll keep up what
Did
he's
you get
been
Jeffers
doing.
now?
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I given him one
For
day off
nothing,
waivers,
too.
but he's been doing solid. Yeah. And TJ Rumfield, who you got from me last week, I know everybody was kind of like laughing. I think we were Emmerich and I were laughing last week when you're like, I wouldn't have started Torkelson over TJ Rumfield. I'm like,
I wouldn't.
get the fuck out of here. But he had 40 points this week. So I mean,
Yeah,
Rumfield's not. Yeah, he's not a bad hitter. So, the bats for Chad did what the bats were supposed to do. The arms just did not. Your arms way exceeded what they're supposed to do. And we could talk about Murakami all night long if you'd like to, with his 200 batting average on the week, his caught stealing. I didn't even know that man would even try to
I know
steal a
that's
base.
what I've said. I made a joke about that earlier in the week. I'm like, why the fuck is he trying to steal a base for?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, he
understand.
runs like he's carrying a fucking piano on his back, but I mean, let him try to steal a base, I guess. Anything in the South Side, 2 home runs. I mean, this is more indicative of the Murakami I think you're going to see, and maybe even a little bit worse. I'm still, how I feel about him. Weatherholt, though, is a different story. Weatherholt 52, I think you're going to see that very often out of him as well. So I think you did really well getting him out of Lopez again. I don't know if you're going to see a lot of 40-point weeks out of him. And Jose Cabero, what's that?
He's been doing it. Him and Josh Jung keep putting up points, man. I don't know when that's going to stop. If it's ever going to stop, I hope it doesn't. But we'll see.
And when Jose Caballero the wheels fall off of him, I said the next time I'm on a pod with you that you and I are going to have to make a trade, and it's going to have to be for Volpe. So we're on this pod right now. I didn't expect to be on tonight, but here I am. We should make this trade for Volpe
back.
here.
That's fine.
Volpe won't be back.
Yeah, I was trying to get. I offered Tita in a chance to do 3 trades in a row with Tita. I offered him Nolan Shanuel and Yanier Diaz for Volpe back, and he said no.
I've got Volpe.
He said no to that?
Yeah.
He said no to it. Yeah. And then he traded me Volpe.
And then he traded you Volpe for not that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand. So, yeah.
But no, great week by you.
I know, Paul's just stunned over there. Like, I know, but it's... I mean, I guess
I can't say anything.
You can enjoy having him like actually on your roster and not playing Smell with the what do you call it, option to AAA. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. That was just oh shit. I know Tita likes Volpe. Like he told me later in voice. We got on voice before this, and he was telling me that if I had sent those 2 outfielders with Nolan Shanuel, he would have said no. So I was like, okay, that kind of makes me feel a little better. But he said that Volpe was a needle mover in that, which. You tell me why that is. I don't understand, but whatever. I'm happy with my outfield, so it is what it is. I have Otto Lopez who's balling, so it is what it is.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna move on to the final matchup here. The one that was decided probably an hour before we hopped on here. Jab beats Cody by 3 points on the Sunday night thriller that Smell predicted last week. 636 to 633. We'll go ahead and start us off with this.
Yeah, I mean, Jab left so many points on the bench too. I mean, I know we were talking about it a little bit, and I know Jab has some stuff going on with his daughter, becoming a doctor Again, congratulations to you, Mr. Jab, and to your daughter having a doctor in the family. That's pretty impressive. But I predicted this win last week for Jab. I did it very, very tongue in cheek. I still believe Jab has a good team. I still believe he doesn't need to make a million moves to get a top score. But really, I mean, this one boiled down to Cody's team just not hitting the way it needed to hit, and it just didn't get the performance it needed to get. But looking at Jab real quick, 36 points out of Vlad, okay. 38 points out of Ellie, okay. The big story here, and this is last week when I was on, I was talking about Connor Griffin, and Emmerich was like, but he's not calling him up. He called him up. Dude got 62 points for him, right?
Finally.
Because we were talking about how Jab had been making the moves. That's what I was saying. Like he didn't need to necessarily make moves. He had Connor Griffin right there, and he made that move, and it worked. Chase Burns, 73 points in a 2-start week. Is that going to happen every week? No, but it happened this week, and it's not probably that uncommon. He beat Cody without Crochet. Garrett Crochet getting hurt last week. I was really kind of nervous. Like, what's that going to do? He was still able to pull it off. Steven Matz getting 46 points in 2 starts, probably not going to happen very often. Sale, another 47-point outing. Screwball bounced back nicely. His relief is a little bit terroristic, but that is what it is. But looking at Cody's team, Chase DeLauder. I mean, Paul and I both had him earlier this year, and we both, I think, regret giving him up. He had 67 points this week, which is a great outcome. But looking through the rest of Cody's lineups, a lot of PCA had 48, but otherwise it's a lot of 20 and 30-point guys, which is, I think, vastly underperforming what he's going to expect out of his bats. He had 403 out of his bats. He beat Jab by 20. But Jab missed his bat projection by 50, which is kind of impressive to say in a win. Looking at the pitching though, Noah Cameron only got 1 point. Bubba Chandler, who I know Cody moved off of, only got 8. Matt Gore, who he traded to me, only got 4. Parker Messick, who he traded away, only got 7. So Brian Wu, who Cody and I talked a little bit about, only got 3. So he had a lot of pitchers just not do what they're supposed to do, and he missed his pitching projection by a decent amount. I think it was Cody's. Last week was his worst pitching performance. It's actually on par with what his pitching has been doing. 3 weeks ago he was at 232. This week he's at 230. But the bats have been kind of all over the place. 382, 46, 456, and then 404. So I think Cody's got a fire lit under his ass after this. I know Cody went in the chat and said that losing to me and to Paul was fine because we had outrageous weeks, when we beat him, and there was not much he could do. But this one was just him out managing him. I said he was cursed. He says he's not cursed. Braxton, I think we got to do it. You are cursed. I mean, I think real human monies, and I'll take the curse off of you. So that's all you got to do. But yeah, it was closer than I expected, but it was a fun matchup to watch. And yeah, I called it 3 weeks in a row. I've called the Cody loss, and we'll see what I call for next week.
Well, I'm looking at it here, and I see that Nick Kurtz struck out 10 times, and Riley Green struck out 10 times. It's negative 20 points in strikeouts from 2 guys. That is unbelievable. I don't think I've seen that ever in a week.
And Murakami.
Well, no, see, that's what you think Murakami does, and it's not even close to that. Like that's just unbelievable. And you can't write that. That's the difference in this game is if they just hit pop-ups even a quarter of the time, he barely wins. But still, that's just unreal. You mentioned Smell the pitching. I won't drag on it too hard. He's completely reshuffled that as well. So I want to see how his new group fares. But look, man, Jab, there's some concerns still. I know he won, and that's great, but like 3 points from Jack Flaherty, 3 points from Grant Holmes, Crochet's out now. Like Brandon Woodruff might be done. Like we got a lot of pitching questions there. That's 4 guys that we're probably going to have to replace here. So I think he got a good deal for Devers, which we'll talk about. And if that meant he called up Hunter Griffin because he had the roster space, then that's an even better move and an implication that I didn't think about. But there's still questions here, man. We're a couple non-strikeouts away from talking about Jab being 1-4. So, I mean,
Yeah.
well, there's some questions here. Like, yeah, good. Congrats on the win, and I know he had the personal week that you mentioned. So good for him and good for the win. But I hope he locks in here and stops it from going 2-4 because that could be a possibility. I don't even know who he plays next week, but we'll figure that out in a second. But Paul, finish us off here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much said anything and everything that I was going to say, so I won't really add too much here. Just it sucks to lose by 3 points. I've been there. Work all week, do your best, and literally a hit, a strikeout, whatever you want to say. That was the difference. It sucks. I've been there. Yeah, there's nothing I can say that'll make Cody feel better about it. I know that. But the only thing I will say is 2-3. Quarter of the week into the season, 2-3, right in the thick of it still. 13 teams are at least 2-3 in this league. I mean, nothing's decided yet. Long season ahead of us. Just got to keep plugging away. However, if you do want to give up Cody, I gladly will take Mo Ballesteros and Colson Montgomery back. I was an absolute moron to deal those guys away because I like beyond the fantasy impact of it. I've been a Ballesteros guy from day one. Like I think I free agent picked him up 2 years ago as a free agent, and I like him a lot. Now that he's finally hitting, right as he's hitting, I deal him away. It's a long story. I'm not happy about it, but point being, you know, -6 from your last free agent ad, lose by 3. Tough. I get it. But there's a lot to still like here. You still got very good pitching. I know that, Smell talked about your pitching's been down this week, or this season, really. The names are there. I mean, Brian Wu, you're not getting 3 points out of Brian Wu every week, every start. So he does a little bit better, you win. And it's a totally different conversation. So as for Jab, yeah, man, like the injuries are piling up, I think, here for Jab and in the pitching. I know he's not one to wheel and deal like the rest of us, but I don't know. I mean, like Braxton said, he was very close to being a 1-4 team, and again, even 1-4 is not out of it. But there's a lot of work I think that needs to at least be considered. I mean, the last thing I'll say, shout out Nick Gonzalez, 42 points. He's a guy that I was looking at maybe adding a week or two ago, and yeah, he balled out. So congrats to Jab. It was a good win. Beating a team like Cody, you never can say, oh, not that great of a win. It's always a great win to beat a good roster. So there you go.
All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our deals section of the podcast. We're going to start on the April 27th. Paul, we just mentioned it. Let's talk about your Moises Ballesteros, Colson Montgomery, Justin Robleski, Tanner McDougal, and Chase Petty deal to Cody for O'Neill Cruz, Evan Carter, and Bailey Ober.
Yeah. I like O'Neill Cruz a lot. I think he's a star outfielder. I didn't like where my outfield was before this trade. Now I do actually really like where it is now. Yeah, I probably was just being an idiot here because I don't know. I didn't like my outfield. Now I do. But to deal guys like Ballesteros and Colson Montgomery really hurts me. That's not even to mention Trubleski. Smell knows both of us big fans of his. McDougal got hurt in his start this week. Sounds like Tommy John's coming for him. Not ideal. Chase Petty, I don't know if he actually got called up or that was just a rumor, but obviously he's a good pitcher too. But what I wanted though was Bailey Ober. He's been very good this year. His velo sucks, but velo doesn't matter if you produce, and he's been producing. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I probably, if I could take that back, I probably would take that back just because I know that pitching is, or not pitching, outfielders are otherwise available. Um, and shortstop, third base slash shortstops, and 22-year-old designated hitters that are hitting 390 are not as readily available. Um, yeah, I regret that trade. I think Cody did better than I did in that trade. However, none of the players I gave up will go 30 for or 30-30 this year, and I do believe that O'Neal Cruz will. So
Smell, you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, I do not like O'Neal Cruz. Historically, I've not liked O'Neal. So I mean, I'm just for me, I would definitely side with Cody on this. O'Neal Cruz is one of those guys to me. He's like Murakami-ish, except he has speed. O'Neal Cruz has this elite, like unmatched exit velocity. I mean, he can just absolutely crush the ball and hit it. 120 miles per hour out of the park, but he just doesn't do it very often. Chase Petty is getting called up. He's starting tomorrow against the Cubs. Robleski, again, like Paul said, we both are kicking ourselves for that. I think all of us on this, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. We've all been up and down on Colson Montgomery. We've loved him. We've hated him. We thought he was going to be great. We thought he's going to suck.
I've never not liked him.
No, okay.
No, I just moved him to get Cam Schlittler.
Who can blame you?
Yeah, I mean, but
yeah, Tanner McDougal, like Paul says, looking like Tommy John. I know I traded for him. We'll talk about that one a little bit later, but I still like the deal for Cody. Robleski is just proving to be a dog again. He's only going to pitch once a week. He's never going to have a 2-start week because of the 6-man rotation. But yeah, I was kind of surprised to see it late last Sunday night. Not gonna lie, but all guys
interjection. Right after that trade, you PM'd me nice deal.
I did.
So now you like it for Cody?
Well,
I'm just saying.
All right, so I'll put additional perspective, and I'm going to put information out there that I haven't said to anybody else. I did not think Robleski was going to be the pitcher he is. I like him. I mean, I think the guy. I regret moving him now. I didn't picture him being a consistent 30+ point game guy. I didn't picture Chase Petty getting called up this week. Like a week after you moved him. Moises Ballesteros, you and I talked a lot, and I said this on the pod last week. I love the guy. I'm a Cubs fan. I love the guy. He's a DH. That's all he is. He's a util player. And Cody, I think, was mentioning that he's already got 2 catching starts now. So it's like 8 more, and he can be a catcher. And if that happens, then man, I really like this for Cody. But O'Neal Cruz is having a good year. He's having a really good year. But I'm not a believer. But I thought it was a good deal at the time. I said what I said about Tanner McDougal. You'll remember this. I don't want any White Sox, right? And then I ended up trading.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the biggest hypocrite this week that I could possibly be. So I really liked it because you moved a guy who I thought was never going to be anything more than a DH, a pitcher who is a pitcher for the White Sox, a hitter for the White Sox who strikes out a lot, Robleski, who I really didn't think was going to be a consistent 30-point pitcher, and another guy who I didn't expect to be called up. Why would that not be a good trade? But a week later, the whole world has changed on some of these guys.
Yeah, and I also about Ballesteros, he only has 2 starts at catcher.
Right.
Need 10. I still have doubts that he gets to 10 this year.
I agree.
The other part of that though is they recently started putting him in the 2 hole. He was batting like 7th when I had him. Again, had I known that they were going to do that, they'd put him in the 2 hole. They'd start him against lefties, not sub him out halfway through a game for left-handers. Right. I'm not making the deal. Like, I'm keeping Ballesteros. So yeah, I'm not trying to call you out, Smell. That's not my intention here. I just
It's
thought I just thought it
accurate.
was interesting.
It's
But
accurate.
I just think, had I known today had I known then, whatever it is, I'm not making the deal. I love Cruz, but I'm not making the deal. So
And that's what
I
I'm
think
saying. Yeah.
yeah, I think the hindsight is what makes this a better deal for Cody.
Yeah. In the moment, I still liked it for you.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next deal here. Um, I get Max Meyer, Kyle Freeland, and Cade Horton. Tita gets Shane Baz, Brian Bayo, Carson Williams, Gabriel Davalo, Davison De Los Santos, and a fourth-round pick. I did this because I love Max Meyer and I couldn't live without Cade Horton. I tried. I didn't want to. I'll wait on him for a couple years. Um, I just didn't want to start Brian Bayo. I was looking at it just like I don't really want to use him. So this deal for me was kind of reverse my Horton deal, the 2-for-1, and then I get a pitcher I really like in Max Meyer for three worse, and then I give up a fourth for Kyle Freeland, who I actually did start this week, and he didn't go negative. So I don't know. I see that. I see that as a win. Max Meyer had 45 points this week, and then I traded him for Sean Burke, who also had 41 points. So like, I don't know. And then I keep Cade Horton long term. That's what I want. So I find it really unlikely that I move Cade Horton now, unless like Nick's willing to give me Bubba Chandler or somebody that like a youngish arm that is actually playing right now. Um, that's probably not going to happen. So I'm gonna end up keeping him. Does anybody have any thoughts on that real quick before we move on?
That's Smell.
No.
No, I thought it was a good deal. I thought I like Shane Baz. I said it last week. I think he's like 16 to 18 kind of point per game pitcher. I hate Brian Bayo, so I mean I thought you did good. Just gotta wait on Horton, who you did offer to me like 3 or 4 times before I moved Rice. So I don't know if you're gonna hang out for 2 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It's not going to happen probably because I know you were a fan. So what do you call it? If I wanted to, if we actually work something out on Rice, but back when I offered for Rice though, I had like 7 or 8 prospects too that I also included in there. And now I have 0, so I couldn't make you an offer like that again, even if you had them, even if I wanted to. So it is what it is. All right, we're gonna speed this up. We have roughly 45 minutes on the left on the recording here. So Tita gets Rafael Devers, Jab gets Connor Prelip, Justin Gonzalez, Anthony Ayason, Arjun Namala, Kevin Alcantara, Juan Valera. I think this is a great trade for Jab. Devers has looked like he's really been slowing down. He's not a Red Sox anymore, so that limits his appeal to Jab's team. Um, what do you call it? And Jab already has Vlad Guerrero Jr., so getting 6 prospects for someone he doesn't really need to call up Connor Griffin, who had 62 points, that could have been the difference in the matchup this week. So um, that's a good trade for Jab, and Tita got what he wanted, I guess, by trading Devers. We're going to touch on that in a second, but anybody thoughts on this real quick?
Yeah, real quick, I'll talk about it. I'm not very big on Devers. I checked in with Tita on Devers shortly after he made the trade, but yeah, I mean, I know that the last game or two he's hit a few doubles and he's kind of getting it going just a touch, but yeah, you touched on it with Vlad. He doesn't or Jeb doesn't need Devers. He's fine without him. Um, and like you said, he used it to call up Connor Griffin, so absolute win there. But what Jeb does need is depth and prospects, and definitely got that. The best one there is Namala.
Just got
I
promoted
like
too.
Namala. To what?
Double A.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. I think he'll be pretty good for Toronto. Alcantara I like as well. If the Cubs ever want to promote him, doubtful at this point. But yeah, I definitely think that it's actually kind of a win-win, just because if Devers does get it going, then I know T doesn't have it anymore, but he can be a stud bat. So I get it. It's a bit buying low because if Devers is being the 1,000-point bat that he normally has been, there's not a chance that that's what he goes for. So I get it from both sides. I definitely think that it's a bit better with Jab. Does it fit his situation a little bit better? But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents there.
All right, Smell, you want to add real quick? Or...
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, 2 of the guys he got in the deal have been promoted today. Anthony Ianson, who Tina and I were talking the other day. The Red Sox aren't really deep with their starting rotation, and he just got promoted to Double-A too, so he's still a little bit of ways away. But a late call up isn't out of the question the way he's pitching. Namala's a dog. Prilip, or is that how you say his name? Prilip,
Yeah,
Connor Prilip from Minnesota. I mean, again, he underrated. I think young rookie pitcher doing pretty well. I thought that this was an interesting deal. I didn't see Jab making a deal like this. To be very frank, he did it, and I'm impressed. It was a good deal.
Awesome. So we're going to speed this up a little bit because I want to get to the next week's predictions with about 30 minutes left in the pod. So that means 15 more minutes left on this. So quickly, Cody gets Kevin Gosman, Paul gets Noah Cameron, Zaire Hope, Cam Collier. Paul, explain that one to us real quick.
This is largely because I was following his last start, Kevin Gossman's last start, and his fastball was around like 91. And typically it's closer to like 96. Plus he's 35, so I got scared. So
He's gonna retire after this year, man. He said so himself. I'm not making that up.
I believe you. I don't believe that is what I'm saying there.
All right.
I like Noah Cameron. I think he's fine. I don't think he's like world beating. I don't think he's close to Gossman and what he does. But the deal wasn't for him. It was for Zaire Hope. I love Zaire Hope. I've kind of kept that under wraps. I've really kind of kept distance a little bit from him. But I definitely think he can be a top 15 prospect. I think he kind of is pretty close to that already. I get it, the Dodgers thing, and Dodgers, are they good or are they just on the Dodgers organization? Blah 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 blah. I get it. But I do think he has legitimate talent, and I do think that it's highly unlikely that I ever get to promote him, just because my intention with this deal is getting prospects and getting players that I eventually will flip for better players in the pros, because I'm still trying to compete for this year. I'm 3-2, second highest scoring team. I definitely should be competing for this year. Problem is that there's 13 teams that are at least 2-3, so everybody thinks they compete this year, which is fine. I get it. If I'm 2-3, you absolutely have a chance. So I get it. I'm not begrudging anybody. But it's going to take a little while for me to kind of probably create that kind of package. But I'm willing to wait. And as long as Zaire Hope's on my team, I'm fine tracking what he does in Double-A. I think he's in Double-A. Hopefully he gets promoted to Triple-A soon and increases his value. But yeah, that was the crux of that, was because I was following his start. I kept seeing 90 and 91 mile an hour fastballs, and I was like, yep, this guy's got to go tonight. And he went that night. So,
all right. Well, Smell, we're going to get to 2 of your big deals now. We'll talk about them both at the same time. Let you go and tell us your thoughts on them. Your Yandy Diaz and Kyle Bradish trade to Tita for Rafael Devers, and your big one, Ben Rice, Dylan Cease, Tyler Soderstrom, Nick Pivetta, Dylan Cruz, Winston Santos, and Gerangelo Cincinnati to Chad for Fernando Tatis, Cole Reagans, and Hunter Goodman. Go ahead.
Yeah, so touching on the Devers one, I hear what Paul's saying. That he isn't really confident in him the rest of this year. He's averaging 3 points per game, right? He's been a career 6.5 to 7 point per game guy. I don't think that he went from a 6.5 to 7 point per game guy to a 3 point per game guy in the offseason. I think he's off to a really bad start. I've said this every week, I think, on the pod, and it's just reiterating what Cody said in Maine. Good players are having really bad starts to the season, and bad players are having really good starts to the season. Kyle Bradish, Braxton got in my head a little bit about the guy. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I guess I should say thank you. And then Yandy Diaz got hurt immediately after I traded him, and Bradish went for 1 point afterwards. So my view on this one was I got the best out of Yandy Diaz that anybody's gonna get out of him for this season. I don't think he's gonna keep up a 7+ point per game pace. He was a 6.5 point per game guy last year, which was a career high. He's not gonna be a 7.5 point per game guy this year. So I think I got the best out of Diaz, and he's going to start regressing. And I think the best is yet to come for Devers. So for me, that was easy to do. Tita and I had a whole lot of back and forth on this, where it was like these two guys plus another like top prospect plus like 2 or 3 first-round picks. I'm like, get bent, dude. You gave six prospects. I'm not gonna like triple your investment in a couple days. I got on Devers, so I was happy to get that done. The other deal, it literally happened. I asked Chad, hey, are Reagans and Tatis available? And he's like, well, if I can upgrade myself for now and I can improve my position for the future, then yes. Who do you like? He sent me a list. I'm like, what do you think of this? And it was like, the next morning he got back to me. He's like, hey, I saw this. I'm swamped at work. Let me take a look. A couple hours later, he got the offer over to me with one change. I think he swapped out. I originally offered Sproat instead of Santos. Oh, okay. That wasn't going to change the world for me. Again, Tatis has been struggling early to start this year. I think he's a top 10 dynasty player. I know he's an outfielder. I know outfielders are supposed to be cheap. I believe in Tatis. I think that he's a top 10 dynasty asset. Cole Reagans, my perspective on him is that he was not much different than Dylan Cease. I think their values are pretty similar, and he's 2 years younger. And Hunter Goodman, I think, is an underrated, good young catcher who plays half his games in Colorado and hits a fair amount of home runs. Ben Rice is killing it. He might be the AL MVP. We don't know. But again, I'll use the same logic. I may have gotten the best out of him that we're going to see. He's still maintained it this week. We'll see what happens. Pavetta, I was high on getting him, and then he just got hurt. And I don't know. I lost a lot of faith in Pavetta. Giving up Soderstrom hurt. Not gonna lie, that I really didn't want to move him, but I knew I had to offer the goods with Chad if I wanted to get the goods. So, for Tatis, giving up Soderstrom and call it Cruz, but combine it however you want. Reagans for Cease to me is a wash. Goodman for a couple of those guys, I win. And Tatis, I got the best player in the deal, and I love getting the best player in the deal, even when I have to give up some good value.
All right. Well, you, the listener of this podcast, had more points than Kyle Bradish this week, so that's good.
Me and Braxton are going to fight over this guy. We are going to. I'm going to physically fight Braxton.
He sucks
on this guy.
So bad. How is this a player this bad worth like going to battle for, Paul? I don't understand.
He's good. Okay,
no, he's not good. He's going to lose his rotation spot according to
Orioles. We don't have the time. We don't. No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
not happening.
Oh, we always have time for that. I'm just saying. All right. Well,
let me before we go. There is a 0.0 chance that he loses his rotation spot this year.
If he does, I'm clipping this.
Record this.
If he does, I'm clipping this.
Do it.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Barring injury.
I was going to say, what are the chances of getting hurt? He's going to get hurt.
Barring injury, there is a 0.0% chance. Who's going to take it?
Nobody.
I don't know. You.
The DL.
Yep.
Who's going to take it?
Yeah, anybody.
Who's going to take it? Nobody.
Brandon Young. I don't know. Who cares? Like,
okay.
Anybody do better than this guy? Terrible. Like, anyway. Yeah, that was just my thought on the Devers deal. Good trade, Smell, because you got rid of Kyle Bradish. So, with the, the Ben Rice deal, I was questionable about it, Smell, to be honest with you, because I love Ben Rice, and I get the age difference with Reagans and Goodman, but I kind of view it as Rice and Cease for Reagans and Goodman, which I wouldn't have done. And then everything else for Tatis is a win for you, I guess. But I don't know. I think that I would probably kind of rather have Chad's package there. But who knows? Tatis could turn it around and be that awesome consistent 1,000+ point bat, and Reagan's becomes the ace that we all think he would be, and everything else plays its course. I mean, Dylan Cruz returns home in that deal too. Just that's Chad's Anthony Volpe. He's gonna be there forever, I feel like. So that was a good one. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on it. Paul, go ahead and chime in. We have about 5 more minutes.
Yeah. I know what I said about Devers, but I actually do like that deal for you, Smell. Because you're right. You're buying low. Because there's a low chance that Devers is just a 3.5 point bet or whatever he is. Like he's going to end the season at least probably around 5. So to get that improvement between now and the end of the season, yeah, I like it. I mean, Diaz is old. Giving up a pitcher without getting one back, even if he's gimpy, as Braxton says, whatever. But the other trade is the one I wanted to talk about real quick. I think bat wise, it's close to a wash. Tatis and Goodman for Rice, Soderstrom, Cruz. Even throw in, Sagente, Pavetta, fine, whatever. The where this deal is going to be won or lost, I think, is the pitchers, Cease and Reagans. I think Cease is a little bit better. He certainly plays for a better team. The Royals have been very bad this year, so I think that's where the winner will be decided. I lean towards Chad simply for that reason, but I for sure understand doing this deal for you. You've already pushed your chips in this year. You've already kind of told everybody that you're competing for now. And I think your team's very good. I think it definitely can compete. And I think it got short term better with this deal. We'll see. I think if you could have given a different pitcher than Cease, I think I'd like it for you a lot better. But
Yeah,
I also understand that was probably part of the appeal for Chad. So that's kind of where I stand though.
The only other thing I want to say on this is that I talked to a lot of people. Paul, I'll ping. What do you think of this deal, Brecht? I'll do with you every once in a while, Connor. I didn't ask anybody about this because I didn't want any of this feedback prior because
you
I
hinted
knew I
it to
wanted
me.
to
You didn't
tease.
tell me anything about what you were getting. You told me who you were giving up, but
yeah, well, because I
Same.
wouldn't want if you were going to come correct for Rice, but my thing was I knew I wanted Tatis, I knew I wanted Reagans. Goodman just kind of happened when I offered. I'm like, oh shit, I need a catcher if I give up Rice. So I didn't ask anybody because I'm just like, I want these guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, since there were so many big trades this week, we're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna give another 10 minutes to trades here, so we'll do 13 more minutes on trades, and then we gotta really speed run the next week predictions. But I don't think anyone's gonna complain about that. Cody gets Parker Missick and Travis Bazana. Nick gets Bubba Chandler and Luke Keyshaw. I'll go first on this one. I am not a Keyshaw fan. I know, Paul, you are. I'm not. And I told Cody at the beginning because he offered me kind of this same. He offered me 2-for-1 those guys for JJ Weatherholt, and I said no because I didn't want Keyshaw at second base. I didn't think he was a long term answer, even though I liked Chandler and that would have been my next golden arm. I just did not want to take the downgrade from JJ to Keyshaw to make that happen. But I specifically told him if you could get Travis Bazana from Nick or JJ or Jackson Holiday from Jack and attach him with Chandler, I would do it. But he said he didn't want to get stuck just in case, so he went ahead and made this deal. Messick really hurt him today. Any normal Messick start to go with this year, Cody would have won this matchup today. Bazana did really well for him hitting wise post this trade. So I don't know. Long term, I like it for Cody because I love Bazana. I think Bazana is a top 3 to 5 dynasty second baseman, and Messick's been better than Chandler so far this year at least. So I don't think that that'll be the case long term, but I think the gap is much bigger between Bazana and Keyshaw than it is Messick and Chandler moving forward. So, Paul, what do you think?
I told Cody this when he made the deal. I know I like Keyshaw a lot. I think Bazana's actually better.
Yeah.
And then I said that I think I said this to Cody. I think Chandler has the higher ceiling as a pitcher. I think Parker Messick is going to end up the better pitcher long term in their careers. I'm just not as high on Chandler as I used to be. But the talent's definitely there with Chandler. I think if he fulfills his potential, he's the better pitcher. But like I said, give me right now, give me Parker Messick. So I think Cody got both better on both of those. I definitely would side on Cody's here.
Smell.
Yeah, I like all four of these guys, but Paul nutshelled it perfectly. I love Bazana. Bazana probably might be top one or two dynasty to the second baseman. Second base is weak, you know.
Yep.
He's ridiculous. Keyshaw is probably top 10, you know, maybe top 5 or around 5 to 8 somewhere in there. Messick is out pitching Chandler. I love Chandler. I hated giving up him earlier in the season. Happy I did.
Yeah. All right, real quick, check. You guys made the Jesse Schultens for Andrew Kickridge and Luis Morales deal. Paul, it won you a matchup, so you start.
I'll pay Luis Morales for a matchup win 20 times. I will do it 20 times if I have to. I have no shame in that. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have there.
Smell.
And that's why I did it.
I will say that this is the deal that almost did not happen because I put him out there. I'm like, guys, he's bulk reliever, come get him. And I was in a grocery store that had very bad reception and no Wi-Fi. And Paul sends me a PM like, hey, will you do this deal? And I couldn't even respond. And then all of a sudden, I got a notification showing me Morales, and I'm like, oh yeah, Kittredge. I'm like, I'm gonna end up dropping him, but who cares? So, yeah, I was happy. I didn't need Schultens. I was already stalling on the week, so yeah, it was good for Paul.
All right, Smell, while we're on you, you get Mackenzie Gore, Tanner McDougal, and Cody gets Shane McClanahan, Aiden Smith. You now have this one league where you don't own Shano. So, how do you feel?
It hurts, but in a vacuum, I like Matt Gore, a little bit above McClanahan. Paul probably tipped the scale for me on this one. He said that, Gore is probably a level ahead of McClanahan, 2 levels if McClanahan gets hurt. Like, all right, in my opinion, they were probably close to a wash, maybe close to the same level. And I saw the news on McDougal. I saw that he got hurt the day before. We still don't know if he's going to have Tommy John. He probably is. If he does, it's basically almost like worse for worse. And I get the small upgrade on pitcher.
Hey, if we had more time, I would ask you for a McDougal trade live on air here because I'm interested. Kind of fits the Cade Horton-esque timeline. What I asked
Where was
you?
this?
I asked.
Wait, no.
I asked Cody.
No.
What?
I've had Tanner McDougal all freaking year, and you've never said anything to me.
Dude, Cody had him, and he offered him to me for Robert, and I was like, you know what? Maybe. I considered it for a while. Smell, give me Volpe and McDougal after this. We'll talk.
I almost didn't do the trade because McDougal was in there after I said I would. Paul asked me, "Would you want McDougal?" I'm like, I think on the podcast 2 weeks ago. I'm like, no, I don't want McDougal. He's a White Sox prospect pitcher.
You did say that.
I did. I mean, 100%. I said I was the biggest hypocrite this week of any, my entire life, and I openly acknowledge it.
All right. Sorry, Paul. I didn't realize. All right. Last one. Maybe one or two more. I'm going to talk about. I got Michael Harris and Yanier Diaz today in between my article writing. Tita gets Maganimo, Cade Cavalli, Carson Williams, Francisco Alvarez, and Jabs 2028 first. I was really looking for a difference maker in the outfield. I really fumbled my outfield situation. I had 9 awesome outfielders week 1 and dealt all the good ones, basically, to keep all the bad ones. And I regret it. I traded O'Neal Cruz. I traded Jordan Walker. I traded Jacob Marcy a couple times. I shouldn't have done any of that. Kind of looking to rebuild my outfield here, and Michael Harris is a big piece for that. Um, I ended up getting Nimmo back for George Springer, Luis Robert, and Anthony Volpe. Um, I wanted Nimmo back. I didn't really love the fact that I moved him there. I offered Tita, Springer, and Robert in that deal instead of Nimmo, and he declined it. So I was happy to kind of get it back after the fact, but it cost me Anthony Volpe, who I love, who just got optioned today, unfortunately. So there's that. But overall, I like where my outfield is now. It's kind of the same thing that Paul was talking about earlier. Um, Smell, what do you think? Any thoughts on those
Yeah, I mean,
collections?
that's what I was saying in the matchup. Your outfielders probably need a little bit of work. Your catcher need a little bit of work. You did it. I forgot about these trades already. Before we when we were going over the week. Nimmo, he should have done better for you. He got pulled out 2 games this week, I think, because of hamstring issues. So I mean, it might be
He
something
got
to
10
kind of
points in one of them, and then he got hurt in it, which was
right.
ridiculous. It's just like that's kind of wild, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit worried, if there's something lingering with him. But Michael Harris, I think, is underrated. And I had messaged Tita earlier today. Hey, what do you need for Harris? He's like, let me check your roster. And about a half hour went by, and then I saw that trade. I'm like, oh well, not Smell. He's like, I'm sorry, man. He's like, I had to do this. So
No, look, I mean, the only person I'm really missing from this is Cade Cavalli when it's all said and done. I love Cade Cavalli. I got him from you.
yeah.
And yeah, so Paul, you want to add to that? Or
Yeah, Cade Cavalli is where you lost that first trade. However, it's important that you included the second trade where you got Nimmo back because I love that deal for you. I like Nimmo a lot. I think he's a very good player. I mean, he can be frustrating to have at times when he has his cold spells, but I mean, everybody does. So
yeah.
I think, yeah, getting Nimmo back along with having Harris is a big deal for you.
Yeah.
Losing Carson Williams, whatever. Francisco Alvarez, whatever. I think Yanier Diaz is kind of a bit of a whatever too. Losing the first after all you said about Jab having the number 1 pick, I think it's a
Oh, I
little
can
bit
get.
ironic.
Yeah, I mean, those are just narratives in the moment. But
Just saying.
it's funny.
But yeah, Michael Harris. I've been after Michael Harris from Tita since I gave him to him. Never could get anything. We were close a couple times here and there, but I like him a lot. I think he's a very good player. So yeah, I ultimately because you got Nimmo back, I think I like it for you. But yeah, Cade Cavalli I like a lot, and if he wasn't on the Nationals, I'd like even more. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, I like my big three of Murakami, Weatherholt, and Harris now. I think that's awesome. Look at Smell rolling his eyes. All right, Smell real quick. You got Luis Robert, Anthony Volpe, Kodai Senga, and the first round pick we just talked about for Lawrence Butler, Xavier Isaac, Brandon Sproat.
Yeah. Yeah, so plain and simple, I said I didn't want to own Robert. You had him earlier. Every time you like Robert, no, don't like him. I had Volpe earlier this year. I got rid of him because I didn't know that he was gonna, kind of what has happened is what I suspected. I had a chance to get Singa before last week, and I think he could provide some value later this year for me. I think he's similar to a lot of pitchers that I have. I really do not like Lawrence Butler, and I don't know why I traded for him to begin with, and so I just was trying to get out from underneath him. But I think, again, I prefer Robert over Butler. I prefer Senga over Sproat. And Volpe and a first for Isaac. Yes, please. Every day of the week, especially if Jab gets the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, it's going to be a great pick.
Well, yeah, no, I like that deal for you too. Tita's been asking me if I've liked Butler basically since that trade had happened. I'm like, look, dude, I don't want him. Like, I'm out. I don't have any interest in him unless it's for like Trent Grisham, and he's like, fuck off. So as he should. So yeah, Paul, what do you think?
I actually like it a lot more for Tita, but we don't really have the time to get too much into it.
All right.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Robert. I'm not a big fan of Volpe, and I'm not a big fan of Senga.
Okay, fair.
So, but fairness, real quick, fairness. I'm also not a big fan of Butler or Isaac. So a first for Sprout is a good deal for Smell. So I don't know. Maybe I don't hate it as much. I don't know. I feel like he can get more from Butler than you can get from any of the pieces that you got, Smell. That's generally my thought, but I could get into it more, but we don't have the time. So,
All right. Well, real quick, I want to shout out Hen Dog for 20 seconds for trading Eric Lauer after he'd been hyping that up for weeks. He finally got an actual other pitcher that isn't named Eric Lauer for Eric Lauer and something else, but whatever. Eric Lauer's gone. Good for Hen. Okay. Next week, we're going to speed run this because we have literally exactly 20 minutes left on the recording. So, start with me versus Nick. I'm gonna win, hopefully. What do you call it? Fantrax has me projected 79%, 21%. I have 12 good starts this week. I hope that I do exactly what John Haidt did this week. Anybody disagree?
No.
No. Okay.
yeah,
Great.
you'll win. I'm surprised. Real quick. I'm surprised. Why do you only have 590 projected?
I don't know. Why is that? I mean,
That's not what he had. That's what he had projected for this week, though, too.
yeah, I don't really care about the projection. I was just reading it to. I don't know.
So Fantrax hates you.
Fantrax always hates me, dude. It's fine.
Okay.
I mean, but
So does Harry.
I have 12 good pitching starts this week that I like, that I'm happy about. So I haven't had that all year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you should win. So
okay, great. Hen versus Connor. Hen projected 56-44. I don't know that he set his lineups yet. This will be interesting to see with the pitching injuries for Hen if Connor can keep it closer. I still think Hen wins by 100 or more. Smell.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I mean, I think Connor's, he said himself, he had to win this week against me, knowing that he had next week. So I think Connor's prepared for an L next week, but it'll be interesting to see what the pitching injuries. Hen only has 9 pitchers in right now. He's already projected for 673. Connor has one more pitcher in there, and he's at 634. So it could be pretty close. Could be within 50. I don't know but if Hen keeps putting up 850, it's going to be 100 to 200 point win.
All right. Well, we're gonna save you two for last. Now I didn't know you all played each other, so we'll save that for last. Chad versus Jack. Does Chad rebound this week? Smell.
Yeah, I mean, he had a down week, like I said last week. He got some really good pieces for me, which helps bolster his lineup right now. He's had a good start for him. So I can't remember who he has for 2 stars. So we know it's not Yamamoto. But yeah, I mean, Jack has been putting up. Yeah, Jack's been putting up pretty consistent and pretty low numbers. Chad's been putting up very consistent, very high numbers, except for this week. I think Chad clears.
Paul.
It depends who, or if Jack gets anybody back this week. I don't know exactly who it would be. I haven't dug deep into Jack's team.
Rodon
he said he was
and
getting
Snell
somebody
are close.
back.
Or Rodon and Snell are close. Could be this week.
I don't think Snell's this week. I think he's next week. I think maybe Rodon, but you would know better than me, Braxton.
Yeah, Rodon possibly.
Snell did 4 innings of play today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably not. He's got at least another rehab start, I think, right?
Yeah. He was at 40 pitches. That's what you said?
Yeah. 4 innings. He pitched 4 innings today.
Okay. He's probably got at least one more start then.
55 pitches, yeah.
I think Chad bounces back, though, this week. I think he gets the win. If Yamamoto gets 2 starts, I think it's definitely Chad's week. Obviously, we don't know. We're not sure, whatever they do. But yeah, I definitely think that that we see Chad win this week.
And Paul, did I skip you on the Hen versus Connor? If I did, I'm sorry.
You did. The only thing I was going to add is that Connor has Jose Soriano on a 2-start week. It's his best pitcher. I think also Sandy's on a 2-start week.
Okay, that's it.
So he's gonna put his best foot forward this week. Connor will. But I mean, 20-0 Beach Dogs. That's all I can say. So.
Speaking of 20-0, John Haidt versus Tita. I'm gonna be bold and say that Tita gets the upset here.
Wow.
We were talking
Wow.
about it in voice last night. Tita said he's going to throw the kitchen sink at him, and I trust it. I think that this is going to be one of the ones that gets decided over the weekend, maybe Saturday, Sunday, and that John Haidt kind of sweats a little bit this week on a Thursday or Friday when it's somewhat close. Maybe that leads him to make some decisions, but especially now with this catcher uncertainty, Tita has Ivan Herrera, one of the best in the game. So I'm gonna go with it. We'll see. Maybe if John Haidt's pitching regresses a little bit back to closer to the disaster weeks, I don't know. I think that Tita could catch him at a right time. Who knows? Paul, go ahead.
I'm not going to be as bold as you. I do think that we see John Haidt win. It'll be interesting to see what he does at catcher. I'll say that. I said it before while we were breaking down the matchup from this past week. If you need a catcher, John Haidt, hit me up. I have two, Contreras and Adley. Adley talk shop at least with you, see what happens. But if he goes the free agent wire, which certainly he can, I still think even then he has the advantage for this week. He is not going to be a pushover. John Haidt's going to need to bring it this week. But the pitching, I know that in looking at all the pitching for Tita, it is kind of wild that he's drastically, I think at least, improved his pitching. I guess minus the gaping hole that is Kyle Bradish. But besides that, pretty good. It's pretty good.
Bench him this week, Tita, please.
I mean, I don't even see Logan Henderson here, so him as well. But yeah, I like Tita's team right now better than I liked it week one, which isn't surprising knowing Tita. But I still think John Haidt's way too tough to beat.
All right, Smell.
Yeah, so this is what the rematch of Taker versus Lesnar, and when Tita beat, he was the first person to beat Haidt, when he had the undefeated season the year before. Looking at the bats, Tita had a down week this week, and Haidt had a better week. But before that, Tita cleared by 100 points both weeks. Looking at pitching, Tita's been consistent between 225 to 275. Haidt's been all over the board between 75 and 363. So it's all going to come down to Haidt's pitching. I'll say it's interesting to note that right now Tita has 13 pitchers in, and he's projected for 593, and Haidt has 10 in, and he's projected for 674. I will, since I'm the tiebreaker here, I guess I'm going to call for Tita to be the second. He'll beat Haidt again. I'll side with Bracton. He'll do it again.
All right. There we go. I didn't expect that to happen, honestly. I thought I was going to be the only one.
Lone Yargoat supporter over here, John Haidt, just so we're clear.
Well,
I'm in your corner, buddy.
I'm gonna probably be make another bold pick here and said Emmerich beats Jab, and pretty convincingly. I was wrong about Cody with a 200-point win. I'm gonna be a week off, and I'm gonna say Emmerich by 200 points. Just Emmerich's gonna rebound after a close game with you, Paul. He's been consistently in the upper half of scoring, which Jab has not been. So I don't even think that is considered an upset either. So, Smell, do you agree?
This is gonna be a Sunday night scratcher 2 weeks in a row for Jab. I think it's gonna be close. Right now, Fantrax has Emmerich as a 51-49, but Emmerich also has 15 pitchers in there, and Jab has 10. Emmerich's bats have far outperformed Jab's this year. The pitching has been a little bit closer. Jab doesn't have Crochet. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jab's arms can hold up. If he has another 250-point week out of his arms, it's going to come down to the late Sunday night. But I will also side with Emmerich here because I have Jab's number one pick now.
Paul?
In 2 years.
Oh, in 2 years.
The number one pick's in 2 years.
So he's going to suck for 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to miss the playoffs 3 years in a row.
That's the story I've heard, yeah.
Yep, that's
He'll quit. He won't be here.
Here's the thing, maybe you guys are forgetting. Emmerich lost Acuna this week, yesterday, 10-day IL. It's a massive bet to be down. So actually, my prediction is that this matchup's decided by Saturday, and that Jab wins. Um, I look at this roster and I still look at it and say it's way too talented to lose. So yeah, the short version of this is I'm picking Jab to win. I guess it wouldn't shock me. I do like Emmerich's team a lot too, but yeah, Jab is my pick here.
I like it. I say Emmerich by blowout. Smell says Emmerich in a close game, and then Paul says Jab in a blowout. So
I'm just living on an island tonight.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting.
That's fine.
Well,
I've been talking to Braxton way too much.
Wait, what did you say?
I've been talking to Braxton way too much past couple weeks.
Dude, you I like it, Smell. Fantasy WWE draft finally fucking finished up here. It took us a couple weeks. It was a pain in the ass. But anyway, 2 more matchups, 10 more minutes. We're good. We're making good time. Cody versus Scott. I'm not picking Scott. I'm sorry. I think that Cody, like you said, he's pissed off. He's got a fire under him. He revamped his pitching group. He only has 10 starts into Scott's 2 right now. So Scott set his lineup. I'm sure it'll be a higher projection than that, but I don't see a world where Cody loses this one. And if he does, then we're really gonna have some conversations. But I don't think he will. Paul,
I'd be very surprised if Cody didn't win this week. It's more about his team, less about Scott's team. I think Scott's still okay. I'm waiting because I've been trying to get this guy from Scott for months. Brendan Donovan. He was supposed to be back this weekend. I've heard nothing. When he comes back, I like Brendan Donovan a lot. I think that helps Scott's hitting a lot when he comes back. It's still about pitching, though. I mean, step 1, make sure you have 12 starts this week, Scott. Step 2 is making sure that those starts do well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I know that's easy to say, but yeah, I mean, let's focus on step 1 though, and Cody's underperformed this year. He'd be the first one to say it. So you never say never in these kind of matchups, but I'll go back to what I said about Jav and his team. The roster's way too talented to be 2-3, and I don't think he'll be 2-4. So,
all right, Smell.
Oh no,
Cody. If you don't know the reference, you're cursed. You're gonna lose because Danhausen cursed you, and you must pay him human monies to uncurse you. So, Smell, drop your Venmo in the chat, I guess. So.
Oh my God.
All right. We're gonna get to the matchup of the week here, probably between the 2 gentlemen on this call. Paul, you can start us off here. I'm not gonna make my pick until I hear from both of you. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I have a lot of 2-star weeks or 2-star pitchers this week. 16 starts is where I'm sitting right now. And it says 711 points. So obviously I can't start 16 pitchers this week. So there's going to be some decisions that need to be made. Having said that, I'm gonna pick myself is the short version of this. I'm sure Smell's also gonna pick himself. Skeens is on the road against the Diamondbacks. I think that's a winnable start. I think a lot of it will come down to guys like Spencer Strider. Jameson Taillon's on a 2-star week. He's been a very good pitcher for me lately. Ashcraft, his start is actually in San Francisco. I think that's a very good start. And I'm only going to talk about my players, by the way. I'm sure Smell will talk about his. We'll see what Okamoto does. We'll see if Jordan Walker can stay hot. I didn't talk about it. Bobby Witt didn't have a very good week this week. Can he rebound? I mean, yeah, I think it's not sustainable, my bats and what they've done the last 2 weeks. But I also don't foresee like a massive drop off coming either. So I think I'll get close to 700. We'll see if Smell can. If he can, then yeah, I'll say this. I fully anticipate this will be a very good matchup. But I will say that I'll win, but it'll be nail biting time on Sunday.
All right, Smell.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my 2-start weeks, and the way Nola's been pitching, I am not thrilled with having him on a 2-start week. But he's pitching tomorrow in Miami. How do I bench Nola against Miami? Yeah, exactly. But then you look at the last 2 weeks or last 2 games, he's -5 on the road. -2 to Atlanta, -3 to Chicago. So he has not been the pitcher that I've expected him to be. But that said, I'm not going to bench him. Fantrax has him pitching on the 4th and on the 7th. I don't know how that's really a thing. So I don't know who his second start's going to be against. So we'll see. But I have Logan Gilbert tomorrow in Atlanta. I've got Kirby Tuesday night in Atlanta. Wednesday, I think, is probably going to be the big day for me. Because Wednesday, I've got 3 of my pitchers going. I've got the Reagan's debut against Cleveland. Glasnow is in Houston, and that real fucking terrorist Michael Soroka at home against Pittsburgh. I think that's really going to be where I'm going to find out where I stand on the week. I'm going to have 12 starts this week. It's not going to be a week like this past week where I have 8. Paul kind of already alluded to it. Fantrax, she's got 16 starts, and he's a 55-45 favorite over me with running 4 extra arms, and I've got 1 short still. I think I only have 11 in mine. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be close. Paul's bats, he said he doesn't think it's sustainable. This week was your best week of the past 3, 475. Obviously, it was my worst, and I still had 313. So if I get back to closer to the 350 to 400, I feel good. My arms are this week was a joke at 130 with the 8 starts because of the moves that I made. But if I get back to the 250 to 300 there, I'm looking at probably 650 to 700 is my ballpark, and that's exactly where Fantrax has me already at 677. It's going to be close, but it's unless I'm facing Hen Dog, I'm not picking against myself. I picked myself to beat Cody, and I did. But then I also picked myself to beat Connor, and I didn't. But yeah, I have to pick myself, but I think it's going to be. It's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be super close. Either you're going to crush me, or we're going to be sitting here Sunday night like Jab and Cody were this week. But yeah, I picked myself.
Before you go, Braxton, real quick, you mentioned that Soroka goes against the Pirates. It's actually Soroka versus Skeens. Very interesting matchup.
I was afraid of that. I hadn't looked at that, and when you said that, I was like, oh man, yeah. So that's why I said Wednesday is probably going to be the day that really tells the tale. And I've been known to make trades in week, so we'll see what happens there. I'm looking forward to the Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore faces the Yankees, so I'm not thrilled about that matchup, but it's what I have. The one I'm really looking forward to is Foster Griffin against the Marlins as well. So I have a couple pitchers going against the Marlins, so hopefully you get some really big output from them.
And your two Seattle starters, Gilbert and Kirby, are going against the Braves.
Yeah, they're both
Seattle,
on 2-start weeks. They'll both be on 2 starts as well.
That's right. Yep.
Well, we have a minute and a half left of the recording here, and I'm going to pick Smell because I made a bet against Paul. So I'm going to hopefully pick up a win against Paul this week. That would be nice. So, all right. With that being said, thank you everybody for watching. I hope we all have a great week, fun week of deals, and just matchup, scoreboard watching, and everything. So everybody have a great week. Thanks for watching.